I can start my OBS software where screen recording is there. So maybe we will say, or even a student will not go through that recording. They love to come, like face to face. But we can record and we can share if the student are not able to come or they cannot come.
Okay,
we can,
so
and
is there any student right now?
yeah,
Or there are like
Aarti is
zero
there. One
students here?
Priya ma'am is coming.
Okay.
Sujay Nair is there. So I can talk with the other students also. And I will start my
It's
OBS
okay,
so
it's
that it
okay.
will be recorded.
Yeah, you can record it, please.
Yeah. So because
So,
if you record, then give me the heavy file. It's very tough. So I can record from myself.
yeah, you can record. Yeah. So Arati is a student, right?
Yes.
That's okay. We can have like a nice
Yes,
close
at
session then.
least.
Okay, so which this like you told me that there'll be students from the game development program itself,
Yeah, but
or they're
today
like
because
from.
it's related to Facebook, so maybe some student on gaming will become. Maybe they understand or not, but they love to come.
Okay. Okay, so Arati, which year are you in right now? Okay.
It's a mute from Aarti's side.
Yeah, I know.
I have unmuted then from my side.
First year, sir.
Oh, okay. First year. Nice. Okay.
So you can
Cool. So
continue. I'm calling
thank.
to some students, sir. Okay. At a same time.
Yeah, sure.
I'll unmute.
Sure.
Sir.
Okay. Fine. So it's good. The less students, more focused the session is, I guess. Yeah. I'll just share my screen, and you guys tell me if you guys can see my screen. Oh, are the students like on mute permanently or can't? Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, Mr. Siddharth. Vidya here. Hi. Good
Oh,
evening.
hi Visudya. Good evening.
We can see the screen. Please carry on.
Yeah, okay, great. Cool, then I'll start. Okay, so I'm just okay, now I'm just gonna present as if it's being recorded like so. Okay. So, okay guys, I'm Siddharth Saxena. I'm a senior game programmer at Major Studios. I've been working in the industry for over 2.5 years now. And today we'll be having a small overview session on games for social media. So what my intention for this presentation is that I'll be covering what different types of games are there, what different types of options that you have for development, what all prospects that there are in creating games for social media. As we know, it's evolving every day, the technology. So these will be the topics that we'll be covering. We'll be starting with very basic types of games like the GIF games that you see. Once you see the photos that I have, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. Then we'll be talking about the AR-based Instagram games, the filters, and the newer days you have those different types of filters where you can track your head, you can play games in the filter itself. So we'll be covering those. Then we'll be covering instant games on Facebook.com. So Facebook.com is like the main highlight here because even the filter technology is from Facebook itself. And so we'll be going through a lot of Facebook stuff today. So yeah, let's start. Yeah, so this is the first type of games that I wanted to cover, the GIF games. I think everybody has seen these kind of games on any platform that that they browse on without realizing that these are actually games. Where you have to take a screenshot to match the animation with the outline, and if you do that, you get like sort of a different message or something additional. These are also can be classified as games only, very basic level, but still games. And you can find these on all the platforms like on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Instagram even. So what we need to understand this that despite this being a very basic thing, this cannot be created by the actual influencers and the people who are famous on these social media platforms. So these type of things are requirements for influencers, for Instagram pages, for people who have a sort of popularity on these platforms to keep their viewers engaged. but they themselves can't make it, despite it being this simple. So that paves the way for professionals and developers like us to get in there and monetize this market. But this is a very, very basic example. Now, this is a more technical one. This is something I believe that now every young developing aspirant in India, in game development at least, should try to get into AR and VR at some level. They should have a basic understanding of it. So this is the example of the different type of filters these days you have. Like I think everybody would realize this one. Like you get different types of messages, different types of questions. It stops at some random answer, and then you can post that on your story. Or like the motion tracking example that I put in, where you can move your head along with the car and cross obstacles and stuff win the race. Similarly with the blank eye tracking. And from the technical level right now, it might seem that these are very complicated things to make, or some very expert people are making this, but that is not the idea at all of these filters are being made by the Spark AR Studio. Okay, so this software is a Facebook software. It's free to use, and it's essentially a studio to create AR effects, which you can then publish on Facebook and Instagram, right? And it's not necessarily for making filters or like games. It can be used for a lot of companies, monetize this. A lot of companies use them to popularize their products, to make ad campaigns and stuff. So I'll just show you. Like these are some examples from their site itself, what they had shared. These are some of the main features of Spark AR Studio. It gives you a very nice graphical interface to work with. It's a 3D workspace, and if somebody has worked in Unity or some like other basic engine itself, they'll be very easily get into this. Now, like I said, when we were looking at the filters, it was like looking like it could be very technically difficult to make all the object tracking, to make the eye blink and all that things. But all of that is being done by Spark AR itself. So they have already built in the tracking software. Now you just have to, overlay your own content on it. So that's the best thing about it. They already have face tracking, they have face gestures and movement and everything in the engine itself, which is you can just like the sort of enable, disable, or drag and drop the features that you want. They have location based, you can track the location of the user using the app. You can change your update your effects according to that. You can have 3D objects, you can have animations in it. There's obviously some scripting involved if you want to do complicated stuff, but even that is simplified through visual scripting. So and then you have particle effects and audio, and the most important thing is that it's deployable to Facebook and Instagram without any additional applications. So if anybody here has worked on augmented reality, they know that you have to have a different app on your phone for it. Like you usually generate an app, but through this you're doing the same thing. You're building an AR effect, but you're deploying it directly to the social media platform. So this again is a lot of people in the industry right now, a lot of developers that I know do freelancing for different influencers for different pages, and they create these Spark AR effects. And actually, a very close friend of mine is a Spark AR mentor as well. So this is a technology which is like really booming these days because of the application and because of the audience that it has. Obviously, just imagine that you create a filter and everybody on Facebook and Instagram can use it. And imagine if you have an advertisement in that filter as well, how much that could help a brand or how much that could help a person. So this is something I think everybody should like sort of, just get an idea of. It's a very good technology in my opinion. Now, Spark Air itself, they have on their website, they have a wealth of tutorials. They have lots of guides how to do different stuff, from beginner to advanced. So you can even like start today, and in some time you can start creating very advanced stuff on it. And now the community is growing as well. So you have a lot of the servers, you have a lot of forums where people are actively discussing problems with it, solving bugs and stuff. So it's not like you'll be lost or anything. So it's a very good technology, and it has made its base now. The main problem with the emerging tech like AR, VR is the main thing is the support. that, once you face any problems, you don't have anywhere to go because nobody else has encountered those problems till now. But that is with time, that is improving in all technology, and I think Spark AR has a good community today in today's date. So yeah. Now, this is an example that I wanted to show because for the other things, we won't be going so much into the technicalities, but Spark AR was so easy to do a basic level setup that I wanted to show you guys how you can actually, create a simple project. Now you just, open up the Spark AR Studio, you just select a simple template. Let's say I'm selecting the world object template, which basically means place an object in the world space. Okay. This is your basic interface, right? The middle part is a viewport. On the left, it's a scene panel. Similarly, what you have something a bit similar to what you have in Unity and what you have in the other engines, and at the same time a little different. You can see here it says iPhone 8. This is the preview of how your effect will look in the phone because even essentially the AR you are deploying on the mobile is mobile only and the Facebook and Instagram filters. So this is how it's going to look when you use it on your phone. And this is the basic interface of the Spark AR Studio. It's I don't think it's very complicated. It's very non-threatening. It's easy to get into, and I think anyone with some level in using engines and other software will be very easy to get into this. So, like I said, I go to the 3D object section, pick a 3D object, and load it in my game. I can also at this point add animations, add audio files that I want to. So now you can see in the preview, this is how my 3D object is going to look when I'm going to use the AR effect. Guys, is the pace okay? Is everyone understanding what I'm saying? Okay. Okay. I guess the students are on mute only, right? So cool. Okay, so now you can see all the 3D objects in the AR space. Now okay, thank you, Alfie. Now I have the option of changing the lighting of the scene, adding more depth, adding, basic stuff, I'd change the materials, change the textures and stuff. So now I'm actually customizing. This is where, my custom AR filter is being made, right? Yeah, like I mentioned, like choosing whether the effect is available for the front camera or the back camera, or for both, adding different elements, adding animations. This is where the main stuff is going down. Now you can, obviously since you're using a Facebook product, which is the Spark AR Studio, you'll be logged into the Facebook account while creating this all of this. So you can send it directly to your Facebook app on your phone to test it, or you can just deploy it publicly. When you deploy it publicly, it will go into a review period, where they'll review. Usually it gets done and very quickly. And if you follow their requirements, they have a standard guideline sort of what's the best practice. It usually accelerates the process. But we were doing one project where we were using Spark AR, so we were strict. We were sticking very strictly to the guidelines, and usually our effects got approved within a day, or let's say the next day, or even sometimes even faster than that. Yeah. Now this is a different category. Now this is instant games. Okay. So instant games are now very lightweight games which you can play in your messenger window on Facebook. I don't know how many of you use messenger on your phone now, but you have this option of playing games with the person you're chatting with right now. And so basically what instant means here is something that is very lightweight, very small in size, and it can, like the word says, run instantly. So these are very small games which you can play directly in your messenger, or you can play them online, you can play them on your phone. So multi-platform as well, right? And this is something that is really being, booming right now on Facebook. A lot of people are developing instant games, a lot of because they're basic HTML5 games. But and now So, and what they're targeting is a very massive audience. So these are all the list of engines that are compatible for making instant games. But you don't have to stick to these. What instant game basically is an HTML5 game. Okay. So you can even like go like totally native and do something on HTML5 itself. You don't have to stick to any engine to say. Now, if you guys notice that, everybody must be thinking that Unity is not here. And Unity is, usually what we use for everything. So Unity is actually building something right now. It's called Project Tiny. So, like I said, when I said instant games have a small size, I mean really small. The maximum size that Facebook platform is 3 MB. So you can imagine how small the size of the game has to be. So now Unity Project Tiny, right now it's in preview mode only. Right, it's at, I think the 0.32 version is out right now. So they're also coming up with upgrades and they're providing support to it. Because instant games are something that, everybody is looking forward to. And not just Facebook. I think they'll be very soon getting incorporated on all the different platforms that we see because of the size,
Siddharth
because
sir,
of
your
the
voice
front
is
end.
breaking, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Siddharth sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
Is it better now? Uh, I don't know. It could be my internet or
I think so, sir.
something.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Do you guys want me to cover something again, or is it something, or is it okay if I?
It's fine, sir. It's fine, sir. It's fine, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So Unity is coming up with Project Tiny, basically, and so what it's going to be. It's going to be able to deploy very lightweight builds, and basically it's focused on developing instant games. So you already need to understand you can't have, something very complex as an instant game. You can't have, let's say, Farmville as an instant game. You can't have Call of Duty as an instant game. So I'll show you some examples. So you can see, small this basketball game. I don't know how many of you guys played it, but that came in as an update in the Messenger, where you just swipe your ball and put it into basket. You can compete with the person that you're playing with. So very simple game, just one mechanic, one the ball throwing and scoring. So that's it too, and you have and nothing else too, nothing else. No effects, no additional sort of upgrades or anything. Just a very simple game, but with ads, and everybody's playing it now because it's on Facebook. So it starts generating a lot of revenue for the people. Similarly, all these games that you can see, Golden Boot, similar, just, drag, flick the ball into the goal. Simple match 3 games. Basically lightweight games, but now what they have is the capacity to, capture an audience which is so large. I think everybody, like this Lotum 4 grows to 8 million monthly users in 5 months on Facebook instant games. So that's the power of Facebook. But the main thing is that not to get, you don't also want to be lost in the crowd because so many games are coming up, so many things are coming up. So it always revolves around what type of marketing you're doing, what type of approach you're making, and obviously that you have to make a good game first. That is the starting point for any good games. Yeah, this is sort of an example. I mean, I just wanted to cover this a little bit. I don't want to go into a lot of detail. So, what you need to do to create an Insta game, you have to go to the developers.facebook.com. You have to basically create a Facebook app. You have to select the option to build an instant game there. I can't even like show you on live stream because it generates some private tokens and stuff like that, which I can't like really make public. But I will give you the links to the guides that they have. It's at this point, deploying is not something that is very tricky or very difficult to do. It's basically the development part because you'll be in using their SDK, you will be using Facebook features in your game, so you have to incorporate them in your code, like the Facebook login, Facebook friends, and stuff like that. They have a very, I would say, comprehensive guide to do all that things, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. But this is how you do it. My objective, like today, is just to give you an overview about everything that is available out there, everything that you guys can do, and basically, answer any questions that you have.
Is there
Yeah,
any
this is
special
the
pipeline for instant gaming, sir?
special
Is there
pipeline,
any
I would
special pipeline?
yeah. The special pipeline is, I would say, is firstly the scope of the project has to be very small, right? So we are going for very simple games. You can't make anything complicated. And the main thing to keep in mind at all times is that your size is 3 MB at max. That means you can't have heavy textures, you can't have 3D models, you can't have anything complicated in your game. So that is the main pipeline I think you should keep in mind whenever you're working on an instant game. Yeah, so Facebook also, they've also deployed a quick start guide for creating your own tic-tac-toe instant game. So I've provided the links. I will be sharing this presentation, I think with Miss Vidya, and then she can like share it with the students. So you guys can find all the links here. Yeah, this is something like this. What you were talking about, the pipeline, right? So this is the guideline for the instant games and what exactly you need to follow when you're thinking of deploying it. So yeah, like it says here, have an initial download size of no more than 3 MB or 1 MB for lightweight games. So they have even a different category of lightweight games which they are pushing. So that is even less than 1 MB per, initial download size. So just imagine, creating a game that is so small, that is so lightweight, but it's so far that, but it's still captivating to your users. So like I said, like I said, the mechanic or if it's confusing, I should say the action of your game should be so fun that the graphics, the visuals don't matter. So that is the most important thing I think I would say when you're making such a small game or you're making an instant game. Yeah, now I think we are moving towards one of the final categories. This is the most category, the most I think anticipated one, the Facebook.com games. All of us I think have been playing Farmville growing up, Mafia Wars, and all these type of games. Now these are not instant games, because they are like heavy games. They're proper games. Like Farmville, I think was flash based, right? So these are like proper games at which we usually play on Facebook.com. They are hosted as applications, and they have all the features. You can play with your friends. You can invite your friends, send gifts, and basically would they utilize the whole Facebook platform. So, well, how do we make these games? Like these are some of the now Candy Crush is on Facebook, right? How many? I mean, at least my parents play Candy Crush a lot, and they usually play on Android, but they can also play it on Facebook now, and utilize all the social media features and stuff. Criminal Case, I think everybody has played at least once growing up. So how are all these type of games hosted on Facebook? Okay, so all these games are either Flash based or WebGL. Okay, now we won't talk about Flash because it's now gone out of date. Everybody is moving moving on from Flash now. We'll focus on WebGL. So WebGL is basically an HTML5 build for your game. If anyone has used Unity, they must have seen an option when you're building. It says WebGL. So basically, WebGL is an HTML5 deployment of your game, right? And it is hosted on Facebook.com in an iframe. So what it basically means is that you have to host your WebGL game on your own server, then give Facebook the link to that hosted game, and they will sort of display it on their own site. Like I've showed this photo here. So this is like your space, and this is the Facebook reserve space for ads and everything else, right? Yeah, like this is what I was talking about, hosting games on Facebook.com. So what? Let's say I'm from a Unity perspective. You create a game, you create a small game or whatever. You create a WebGL game. You deploy it. You get an HTML5 build. You deploy it on your own custom server. Now you want to host that game on Facebook.com. So Facebook doesn't give you hosting, right? They don't give you the space to put your game, because if they give that away for free, everybody will start, clogging their spaces with so many useless games. So what they do is they say that will give you the platform. Is that you host your game somewhere else. You use up your own space, but you use our platform for for views, for reach, for everything else. So what you can do is you can use their SDK. They have it to incorporate all the Facebook features into your game. You can have your friends, you can have your gifts, and all the different Facebook features that you want to incorporate, chat, messenger support, and all that. And then you host that game on your own website, and then you publish it on Facebook using their app feature. Now, this is something important to understand. Domains and SSL requirement. So SSL certificates are required, for security. And when you are going to be publishing these apps on Facebook, so these certificates are required for, so basically saying that this is a valid game, this is a real game, is what they say. Yeah, these are some of the best practices. I don't know how many of you have experience with XAMPP or WAMP. What they basically do is they allow you to create local servers on your machine, and you can sort of use them for testing your WebGL deployments. You can use them for testing everything that you've created, and yeah, you can set up your certificates and all that without actually, because the space online is going to cost you, right? Let's say you have a game, now you're ready to deploy it on Facebook. So the all the things that come in between, from incorporating the Facebook features to adding a SSL certificate and then testing it out if it's actually working or not. You don't want to do all that on a cloud server, because all the time that it's running, it's also costing you. You don't want to, sort of make a loss on it already. So you can do all that by using XAMPP or WAMP for, hosting local servers and then testing on that. And then once you're set up and once everything is working for according to you, then you can look for, if you're, let's say, if
Siddharth sir,
you're
your voice is not again gone, sir. Your voice is not clear, sir.
I'm very sorry, I don't know. Actually, I added something to check my internet constantly, so it's maybe an issue
Hello,
from your
Siddharth
end.
sir.
Hello. Maybe it's an issue from your end, because my internet is fine actually. I'm not sure. I'll pause for a second, maybe. You just tell me if it's okay now. Oh, thank you,
Yes, sir.
Rishikesh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it could be your internet, man. I mean, I'm not sure. It's okay from my end. Okay. So, like I was telling you, for deploying your own games on Facebook. So, the main thing about all of the things that we have covered till now is that on the surface that they might look very challenging, creating your own filters or deploying your own games on facebook.com, but they're not. And they're a very good medium to, try out, to create, to keep getting more feedback on your work. And for any aspiring game developers, I would all recommend that they try this at least once. You build a small game, you try to deploy it on Facebook. Or even before that, you can try itch.io. It's an excellent site, for game developers. And you can deploy your games there. I have around like 3 or 4 games on itch.io. I'll share my link as well. You guys can go check it out. Doesn't have to be anything complicated. Doesn't have to be AAA. Just keep creating and keep deploying, keep getting feedback from others, and that's how you grow basically as a game developer. Now this is the last section of the presentation. This is Facebook Game Room. Now this is something that I didn't really want to cover because it's not very popular. It's basically Facebook's attempt to launch a game store or game platform or something. So Facebook Game Room is a downloadable software. Okay, so you get Facebook Game Room on your PC, and on that platform, on that software, you can play Facebook games, and you can also play different types of games. So till now, we were talking about the games which were being deployed as HTML5 WebGL games. But for Game Room, you can actually deploy exe games. You can deploy Windows builds here. So you can create your games for Game Room. Now Unity stopped supporting Game Room, I think 2 or 3 versions back, 2019.3 onwards, I think. They stopped supporting Facebook Game Room because they said that there wasn't any reach or any requirement, or basically the people weren't using the feature as much as they had hoped, so they stopped supporting it. But you can still use the Facebook SDK if you want to build for Game Room. But yeah, like Unity also said, the player base and people looking towards Game Room for newer games is not really there. Facebook.com games would be a much better option than Game Room, but still I think we should cover it because it's another option for you. And you never know. You never know. Uh, it's like the Steam Tencent launcher. Yeah, it's kind of like Steam, but the difference is that you actually play the games as well inside the platform. So that's the only difference. It's yeah, you can say it's kind of like Steam, I guess. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the like the point you said, that it's kind of like Steam. So when something is kind of like Steam, it's not gonna compete against Steam, right? As we can see how much Epic has to do just to just to get their own launcher in. So it's very difficult for them to be in the same market space. Yeah. So this is Facebook has Game Room running up since like 2016, and even I hadn't heard of it like still a few months back. So uh, but it's an attempt, and it gives you more options. You can deploy exe games and stuff like that on it. So the flow is the same. The flow is the same. You deploy, you have a build ready of your game. You go to Facebook, you go to developers.facebook.com, you create an application, and then you follow the steps. You choose that you want to create a Game Room native application, then you follow the steps there. You do what you have to do. Uh, and you can also, again, they have an SDK for it, so you can use your Facebook features, you can add friends, you can use the chat and stuff like that, sending gifts and everything. So it's very similar, but the only difference between Game Room and deploying directly to Facebook.com is that Game Room is sort of going to give you hosting, right? So when you create your game, you can submit it to Game Room, and they'll show it something sort of as this store, and then other people can play on it. But the only thing lacking in ideation, it's a great idea for Facebook. I have a question for Spark. Yeah, what's the language? Okay, just a sec. Let me just finish this, and then we'll have like a question section where we can like talk about everything. Yeah, now it's now the monetization is here. I didn't cover this initially because I wanted to cover all of it at the end. So monetization mostly in Facebook, all the Facebook deployments is through ads, right? And if you're like making proper games, let's say if you're making like the web deployed WebGL games or Game Room games, then you can also have different revenue streams. Like you have, Royal Pass in your PUBG or COD Mobile and things like that. You can have subscription-based revenue models. You can have cash payments. You can have in-game items. You can have the full flow. You're not limited anywhere. Like you can't have like the Facebook is not limiting you anywhere on that. Just a sec. Right. Okay. Yeah. So that was all of the different platforms. Now I would like to take some questions. Now, first thing is that did you guys like understand, or did you guys like missed out on anything, or do you want anything? Do you want me to go back to anything and cover anything? I'll just open the chat because I think the students are on mute. Okay, how do I open the chat? Question Q&A. Okay. No. Okay, I'm confused. Chat. Oh, okay. Nice. We need to code, or is it drag and drop? Uh, Actually, you can do both. It's a visual scripting, so you can sort of drag and drop, and you choose your variables, and we need to code. Not necessarily, but it's an option, of course. For the basic stuff, you won't need that much coding unless you go and create something very advanced. Only then you will have Visual Right TypeScript. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so can you show us complete process development for Facebook instant games? Okay, so it will be difficult for me to like sort of show you an entire pipeline. Maybe if it was, sort of a technical session, we could have tried to make a small game for Facebook on an instant game.
Is there any links which you can share with us, sir, based on anything available links on instant game, some instant game development? Is there any links which you can share with us?
Okay, so I'll note this down. I'll add this to the presentation, and then when I share the presentation with Visvidya, I'll add them all here. Okay. This is why I created like this question slide because, okay, weird. So let's say because for the questions that I couldn't answer like directly, so guides for instant games, right?
What is your idea about WebGL games, sir? Because just now you mentioned one word called WebGL games. Because WebGL is not supporting in many of the platforms. So can you throw us light on that?
So WebGL is basically for browsers, right? And when you say that that doesn't support in a lot of platforms, what do you mean by that? Because I'll show you right now. I'll show you my page itself. Okay, so all these three games are made by me. I made them in game jams and different durations. And all three of them you can play both on your PC browser and your mobile browser. Right. So when you say that it's not supported by a lot of platforms, what exactly do you mean by that?
Because we have encountered, like, we came to know that WebGL support has been stopped by the Unity, and many of the devices not support.
Okay, so Unity stopped their support for Unity Web Player. Okay, a few years back. That is entirely different from WebGL. WebGL is your basic native HTML5 game, and Unity still supports that. You can still build WebGL games. Like the Repair Master that you have on your screen right now, it's like, I think a few months back I made this. It's a very small game. So what you're talking about is basically Unity Web Player, and they stopped which was sort of a Unity plugin into browsers. So the browser stopped supporting it, so Unity had to as well. But HTML5 is, let's say, just native HTML5 games, and Unity is able to convert or deploy its game into HTML5. So WebGL is not going anywhere. WebGL is still supported by almost all the platforms, I can say.
Can you throw us light on the Flash games converting into HTML5? Is there any method which you can suggest us?
It will be very different considering your approach, right? So Flash is obviously going out of date, and to say that that you can, I think it will be a whole rebuild will be required of the game, because right now off the top of my I can't think of any direct way of converting Flash into an HTML5 game or upgrading. They were always, obviously, when a technology is going out of date and you're shifting to a new technology, a lot of changes and a lot of rebuild will be required for that project. So yeah. Thank you.
One last question, sir.
Yes.
One last question about the visual scripting. On how about can you throw us light on visual scripting?
Okay. Sure.
What is the major role? Because many of the students are here like struggling to do a coding, but it is great. So what is your suggestions on that? So just a little bit throw a light on visual scripting.
Okay, struggling to coding. Okay, so my first suggestion to you is start practicing. Okay. Uh, Even if you're like extremely passionate about game development and you're really good at game design, you're really good at ideas and stuff, the most important skill in game development is programming. And even visual scripting is nothing but coding without all the language. You still need the logics, right? Even if you're doing visual scripting, you will still need to form the logics, and there is no shortcut to that. Like Anurag said to as well. And that is my main suggestion, that start practicing, because it's going to be, I can't think of any way you're going to do anything in game development without having a programming base. And it's I think the most I've also been in your position. I've been a first year student. I think the biggest thing is that we usually get scared of programming, that we think that it's so complicated that we are not going to get it, and so we start running away from it. But it's not really that. It's very simple. It's fairly simple. It's like a language, right? Like English is a language, and I'm talking right now. I have certain words, I have grammar, I have rules which I have to follow. And using those rules, I have to form sentences. It's the same for any programming language. So you always have to, my main suggestion, I won't say anything like, shift to visual scripting, it will be easier for you or do that. I don't want you guys to do that. Just start practicing. Start small, start basic. Use HackerRank, use CodeChef. Don't, the main thing is to not get scared. Okay. And yeah, just start practicing. Even if you go into visual scripting, it's not like it's gonna do anything for you. You will still need to form the same logics, and you will still need to use variables and stuff. It's just that it saves time, that you don't have to code everything. That's the only difference between like textual scripting and visual scripting. Thank you, Mr. Ajay. Any other questions? Like, oh, a lot of students arrived later on. Okay, I'm very glad. I thought it was just a
We are
very
looking for one technical session from you on instant games. That's all. In
Oh,
future.
sure. That won't be an issue. Yeah, I was actually told that this wasn't going to be a technical issue. That's why I tried to keep it fairly simple. But yeah, definitely we can have another session. Maybe we'll explore Unity Tiny in that, because I have not worked on it yet. So maybe it'll be a nice session. Yeah. Anything else, guys? If any of you has any like queries beyond this, you guys can always find me on LinkedIn, or when I'll share when I share the presentation, I'll also share my email ID, so you guys can contact me there as well. So I guess thank you very much for this opportunity. Is there anything else, or I'm not sure if I can even like end this.
Thank you, Siddharth. It was really great, to be honest. Even I got to flight on this and all. It's
Hmm.
really great.
Thank you very much, Anurag. Great. I'll stop sharing my screen at least. Yeah. Oh, now I can see all the participants. Very nice. Thank you all for joining. I was very worried in the start, like just one student. I'm very thankful for Arathi, for joining on time. So, yeah. Okay, so should I end the call now, Mr. Ajay? Yeah. Okay. I think I'll end the call now. Okay. Thank you, guys. Had a lot of fun. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, sir.